So stories of us led me to tell my story a little bit and how I came to Deep Roots. So, my name is Nicole, and I'm the general manager of Greensboro's only community-owned grocery store, Deep Roots Market. I'm also an anthropologist with a specific interest in sustainability. So I want to thank each of you for coming out tonight, because showing up is rule number one for how to show up at co-ops. 3 golden rules. It's rule number 1, show up. So bravo, you guys all did great passing rule number 1. So just telling a little bit about my story. It makes me a little nervous to be vulnerable, but I feel like I've got like a book or 3 inside of me that one day I'll write about it. So you'll get like a little quick version of one of the stories here. So for me personally, adopting a cooperative operating system and using it as a modality of healing, and even my movement into the leadership of this beautiful, messy food operation owned by over 5,000 people will make total sense when you just hear a little bit about my story. Okay, so raise your hand if you have ever experienced a devastating life crisis. You know, the kind where everything stopped and you question the meaning of life and your existence. And then afterwards, for an indefinite amount of sacred time and space where nothing matters but holding on to the ones you love. I was kind of born into that space. See, I had my first existential crisis at 3 years old, while my brain was still in the imprint stage. Tragedy struck my family via a horrific car accident, killing my grandmother and my sister, my big sister. So I developed in this space of grief and loss. I actually remember making a personal commitment to myself at 3 years old when I noticed how much pain my mother was in, to never cause harm or pain in this world. It was like my personal manifesto, echoed in my brain constantly. So I was kind of heavy for a 3-year-old, isn't it? So I developed the skill of helping people through hard times. So this set the stage for me to seek an environment that matched that. Cue the laughter at somebody seeking that in a capitalist economy. Yeah, I had to be strong. It became a whole theme in my life. Like some dumb feather I wore in my hat. And I actually now consider it my greatest weakness, my strength. But it also set me off on an epic journey of self-discovery for life's meaning that brought me through a variety of extreme experiences. From doing archaeology to working with refugees, running group homes for abused kids. I can't even flip the lid on that box tonight, but let's just say it prepared me to manage a co-op in crisis. So naturally, I co-created with the universe to recreate grief and loss throughout my entire life, just so I could get myself to understand that I had some healing to do, some grieving of my own that I never did. I like to call those experiences life's seasonings, like kind of how you prep food, you season it before you cook it. And so all of that kind of came together and naturally led me to Deep Roots Market, right when Deep Roots Market was entering its own existential crisis. Thanks, universe, perfectly timed. I have this amazing grocery manager named Shantae, and she once said that the co-op is a place of healing. And I couldn't agree more. Is this even working anymore? Okay, sorry. So the more I learned and shared about cooperation, the more I believe that this is exactly what the world needs and maybe even why we're here. So this is what I've been searching for, and once I dug in, I found Deep Roots could be my roots. And I don't have any roots because both sides of my family are immigrant people, came in on boats and whatever, New York City. They made their way to the South somehow. Long stories, both coming. So I would say that it felt more solid than any other mission I had previously aligned myself with. This place literally is for everyone, And if you want to be a part of it, all you got to do is follow those 3 golden rules. So what was that first rule again that you all guys did so great at? Show up. So the first rule of cooperation is show up. Second rule, be here. Put your phone down, quit thinking about what you said last night, plug it in. And then the third rule is be honest, because we can't really go anywhere into the future without some honesty. So we can run a grocery store on those rules. We can also heal our own lives and our communities. Facing our personal challenges in a cooperative setting, using those great guidelines naturally brings about empowerment and healing. I could do a whole session on that and possibly write a whole book on it. I'll just keep going. So all the beautiful people sharing unique knowledge, better foods for your body, better business practices for the planet, activism against exploitation of people and resources, food justice and equity, and the policies that govern us to listen to each other, share information, and vote. And let's not forget delicious, healthy local foods. That's our core reason for existing. And again, to repeat what Linda was saying, we were founded in the basement of a dormitory at Guilford College by a woman named Martha and some volunteers in the early 70s. So the candid truth, Deep Roots has been through hell since moving downtown in 2013. I will not sugarcoat it. The competition increase, management and board turnover, that greenway construction, that beautiful greenway. Exorbitant debt, some bad decisions, an unsupportive greater culture. The learning curve was great and there was like no room for error, y'all. We nearly lost our precious co-op. Does anybody know that? Yeah, it was pretty bad. So together with a handful of scrappy managers, staff, and some dedicated owner-shoppers, we did hold it together, barely. So it's considered an extreme financial crisis if a food co-op has under 10 days operating cash. Guess how much cash we operated Deep Roots on for years? Half a day's cash. Every day was a test of our resolve. And being the cheerleader of that while fixing all the issues has been my greatest challenge in my life. And I have raised a child alone, unsupported, and divorced out of the mafia. Like I said, I have a lot of books to write. So things were rough, pretty stressful, to say the least, and they weren't really getting any better. Greensboro was developing a reputation for extreme grocery competition. And it looked like somebody needed to fail. So in December of 2019, just seems like forever ago, right? We didn't have enough money to pay rent. I was actually meeting with Lyndon that day to plan an event, and I cried in front of him. I was so embarrassed. I was so burnt out, and not being able to pay rent to me was like, we're failing. Like, this is it. We're going down. And just a couple months later, the pandemic hit. Guess what my first thoughts were? Well, I guess I was made for this. Like, kind of sarcastically. And the other thought I had was, you know what, we're gonna be okay. My gut told me that. Sales went up, they have stayed up. We got a couple of government chunks to help us through. And the wise use of that money led to more efficient operations. We were able to pay off all our bank loans. We started paying back our owner loans. All of which looked to be many years away in the pre-pandemic budget outlook. Cultural change was happening rapidly. People started waking up about how their money is an actual everyday vote. Spending it at the co-op is just a no-brainer for those who care and want the world to be a better place. And those of us on the co-op front lines worried about all those things that you've heard about on TV and social media popped up our little disheveled heads from our endless work to smile. And not just at those of you wearing masks and being kind, which we really appreciate you guys. Those of you who are nice, we really like, seriously. But at the fact that people were finally realizing that they had the power to affect change. People came in and they said, I want to shop here. I want my money to go to something good. That's what I've been hoping for since way before the pandemic, but if it took a pandemic to get people there, okay. So my personal merging has taken on a new vibrance. Of all the jobs I've covered at the co-op, one of my favorite things to do is inspire people with cooperative facts. I like seeing the eyes light up with an awakening, like, wait a minute, there is a better way. I don't have to discover a better way for us to live. And people are already doing it, where do I sign up? Are you hiring? I have always seen education as the missing link in cooperation. So in the fall, I'm gonna start at UNCG, working towards a master in sustainability, but with my long-term agenda of teaching cooperative studies, so that people can come out of university with a vision of working for co-ops, starting and developing co-ops, and better yet, flipping corporations into cooperatives. I hear there's even a new political party, a new cooperative political party on the horizon. And so my personal manifesto, do no harm. Yes, this fits right in with that. So I believe in the cooperative model to be our only sustainable pathway forward, and I will continue to put all of my actions towards that belief. I ask you guys to join me. Do you believe? Have I pushed you to question how you vote with your dollars? If I've inspired you towards cooperation, come grow this with me, and we will all be okay with nobody getting hurt. Amen.